Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 34, the TJMARTINO podcast. We have a very awesome, exciting episode today. I'm very excited for this. This is something I've been working on for some time now. It's been a personal project of mine. I've been collaborating with other people, but I figured I might as well just take things into my own hands. And, well, I built a website. That's the big news. The other day I was talking about how I had huge news and a huge announcement this week. Well, this is it. I finally have my own website, people. We have made it. It took me about 2 to 3 months to finally, fine tune everything, figure out how I wanted it to look, how I wanted it to perform, what I wanted to use it for. I mean, these were kind of things that I had to iron out. On top of figuring out how to actually build the website myself. It was a side hustle to my side hustle. And I'm somebody that loves to have projects going on. And that's something I'll talk about in a minute. But this is one of them. Is the huge announcement is my website. So how do you find my website? It's very simple here. I'll pull it up here. I'm up here on DuckDuckGo. You can use any web browser, and you just do this simple thing. You type in TJMARTINO.com, and you pull it up, and boom, there it is. There's my website. As you can see here, got the, episodes play in the background here. Then we also, if you scroll down here, this is the home base. So you can tweet at me right here. It's a little tweet plugin. You can tweet from here, and then here is the official TJ Martino podcast Instagram page. I'm trying to post here more and more. And you can access the Instagram page straight from home base. This is kind of will be more of the visual interactive segment of the website. More will come. Obviously, this is just a very... let me preface this by saying this episode is this website is very much a work in progress. It's a live website, so there's going to be a lot of stuff that I'm going to be doing to it. But this is just the baseline entry level website. And then this is the home base, as I mentioned. This will be a lot of the interactive visual section of the website. Then we move here to the full episodes tab. So this is where you'll go. TJMARTINO.com/full episodes. You'll go there, and here you can find all of the entire library of the TJ Martino podcast will always be on the TJMARTINO.com website. Will always be there. As you can see right here, I have the YouTube playlist. You can come up here to this top right corner, and you can select any of the episodes for the podcast. They're all here. The entire library is available on video, but let's just say you're on the go. You don't got time or battery to watch a video. Well, you're in luck. Down here is the entire podcast library on audio. So the entire RSS feed is here, and you can just straight up hit play and listen to the newest episodes. And if that isn't good enough for you, down here below, I have the other links section, so you can see these are the other links for pretty much everywhere else that you can stream the podcast. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon TuneIn, and then some more video options down here: Rumble, BitChute, Minds, Odyssey, all the alt tech platforms. I am up on there, so if you're into that, they are there. I want to make my podcast as available as possible. That's the full episodes. I'm going to be adding probably more to this. Again, this is just very much a skeleton, but I wanted to get it out there. I was tired of sitting on this thing. Then we go to About the Show, and you get a little intro, I guess, that I wrote. And then down here is the current independent projects. So these are essentially projects that I'm working on. Right now, as you can see, the podcast in full swing. The preview review series is in full swing. Haven't done one in a couple of months. Granted, there hasn't been much out there, but this will be coming back for sure. And then I also have this untitled animated short, which is something I'm working on. It's a little side project that I'm working on. And that's all I want to say about that right now. But yeah, check out this. Again, I'm going to add more to this. Like I said, just a very much intro thing. But as my portfolio online begins to expand even beyond podcasting, this website will adapt with it. And that's kind of something I want to hammer at home right now. Is that, yeah, this website is very bare bones for right now, but I want to leave it that way because I want to be able to add on more. And I don't want the website to be clunky and full of a bunch of useless crap. Like, to the point, you know, that was kind of my methodology here, is what is important. And oops, got a little message there. Let me turn off notifications here. Whatever. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, I want the website to basically be this home base, like I meant, you know, for the podcast, but not only that, just for everything that I want to do creatively. And this animated short is just one of these things that, you know, I'm kind of spitballing around right now. So, you know, who knows what is to come. I'm always getting inspired. I'm always finding new things that I want to do. And this is just another outlet that I can use to promote those things and keep people updated as well. That's kind of what I want this current independent project section to be, is more of just a way to update you guys on what I'm working on, you know, and what I have ideas for, you know, because that's the thing. I don't want to just, I'm realizing that I want to do other things with the podcast and use the podcast as a means to promote those things. So, I mean, obviously the podcast is in full swing and is not stopping anytime soon, but I want this website. That's why it's not called the TJMARTINOpodcast.com. It's just called TJMARTINO.com, because I want it to be everything I do, not just the podcast, not exclusive to that. Obviously right now it's more angled in that direction because that's what I'm mostly focused on right now. But in the future, for sure, I will be expanding my range to, you know, other ventures, other projects that I want to work on. So, yeah, that this is going to be kind of a page to keep you updated on me, and for people that don't know me, a little bit of an introduction. And then you got Ask TJPOD here, which is essentially, I wanted to make this like a interactive section where you can, where, you know, listeners and viewers and fans of the show can, you know, drop their 2 cents on the show, so that, you know, recommendations for topics to talk about with, you know, guests or even just myself, movie and album recommendations. So any sort of content you want me to maybe review or talk about is fair game. And then, yeah, segment ideas and other things like that. Anything that you think you can add to the show, even if you want to send stuff, I don't know. I got to get a PO box, but if that is something that people would be interested in doing, this would be the place to go for that. You know, and then also here I have my social media links, the Twitter, Facebook, Gab pages, for those of you. And then down here, so where you will do the actual, let's just say you have an idea that you want to share with the show, share with me. You'll come down here to this little leave a reply section and you'll drop a comment. That's simple. And it could be as simple as just a review, like being like, this podcast is the worst thing I've ever listened to, or this podcast is the best and most inspiring thing I've ever listened to, which I'm hoping it's the latter. But yeah, this is the place to do all of that. This is just kind of I wanted to have like an open forum for, you know, not even just the podcast, just in general, I guess, but mainly the podcast right now. And then lastly, the book or contact section. So I wanted this to kind of be more personal messages to me. So if you want to be on the podcast, if you want me to be on your podcast, or anything that you could add, any value you could add to the show or to my other ventures, this is the place. If you can add value to the TJ Martino podcasts or other things that I'm working on, this is the place to do it. You know, all you have to do is leave a name, email, and whatever you want to talk about, and then just hit this little contact us button. and boom, it's that simple. So yeah, I mean, that's the TJ Martino podcast website right now. The TJ Martino website right now. It's pretty simple, but you know, I'm gonna add more to it obviously over time. But I figured it's time to just nut up and build a website, you know, and because it's always been something I've thought about doing, and you know, the thing about it was I was very intimidated by the whole concept of building a website. You know, coding and things like that aren't really my expertise, so it was a little bit of a learning curve. But I think WordPress is pretty user friendly hosting service. So you know, I had my struggles at first, kind of navigating the menus and figuring out what I actually wanted the website to look like aesthetically. I think that was the biggest pitfall in building it. But yeah, you know, it was a nice little side project that I'm glad I got finished. So from now on, you know where to find me, tjmartino.com. That's the place to be. But now moving on to something I wanted to talk about that happened a couple of days ago, which is the Philadelphia Eagles traded Carson Wentz. And yeah, I didn't make a video about this immediately. I kind of wanted to sit back and see how the base reacted to this situation. And before I kind of gave my thoughts and see what other people thought, because personally, I thought it was a mistake to trade him the way they did. They ended up, so let's just break down the deal. They traded Carson Wentz. The Philadelphia Eagles traded Carson Wentz to the Indianapolis Colts for Carson Wentz for a third-round pick in 2021 and a conditional second-round pick in 2022 that could become a first-round pick. And honestly, I'm pretty disappointed in this trade. I mean, talk about taking the lowest common denominator possible. That's what the Eagles did here, man. I just, Howie Roseman's thought process here was just absolutely mind-boggling to me. Because I mean, we get rid of Doug Peterson, right? That happened a couple weeks ago, and you bring in Nick Sirianni, who, just let me preface this by saying, the jury's out on the guy. I think he's an interesting guy. He obviously is horrible with the media, but Doug wasn't much better. And, you know, I think he was a little bit in over his head in that opening presser. Not the best public speaker in the world, but I'm not really looking for that in a head coach. I'm just looking for a coach that can get the guys to wake up on Sunday and want to play football. That's all I want. And I think he could be that guy. I don't know. He at least he ran the ball in Indianapolis. That's one thing I will say. At least he ran the ball. So jury's out on Sirianni, but you get rid of Doug Peterson, right? Your Super Bowl head coach, which honestly I was for. He was horrendous last season, play calling wise. It was hard to, it was hard to make excuses for him after a while. I was just like, this guy's got to go. And, it was kind of the sentiment amongst the fan base. So you get rid of him because a lot of people thought because of Carson Wentz. And they're like, well, Doug and Carson don't really mesh together, so get Doug out and we'll run with Carson, right? Well, then the trade rumors for Carson Wentz start boiling up over the past couple of weeks. Is he going to Chicago? Is he going to the Chargers? Is he going to or is he going to the Colts? So, there was a few teams, or the Patriots was another team I was hearing about a little bit, but mostly Bears and Colts was what it kind of narrowed down to. And the thing that just drives me insane is you let Frank Reich go to Indianapolis, then you get Indianapolis' entire coaching staff that was under Frank Reich to come be your head coaching staff. Your head coach was the offensive coordinator under Frank Reich, Sirianni, and the D coordinator was the defensive coordinator, I think, at Indianapolis, or he at least worked at Indianapolis. So you're just taking them, you trade off Frank Reich for them, and then you go and send your quarterback over there too. And not only do you send him over there, you send him over there for nothing. A third rounder and a possible first rounder, most likely second round. I mean, come on. What is the deal here with this team? Do we want to win? I mean, seriously, do they want to win? Because it sure doesn't seem like it. And, I mean, then you're coming out and saying jury's out on Jalen Hurts. And it's like, okay, well, if Hurts isn't our guy, are we going to draft another quarterback now? That's kind of what it's looking like. It's a messy situation. And Howie Roseman, the thought process here, the value you get for a guy that was going to be the MVP in 2017. I mean, Carson Wentz was going to be that guy in 2017, man. He was that guy. He was the best quarterback in football. And I get it that I get it that you go on and, he gets hurt and a lot of bad things happen in between 2017 and now. I get that a lot of bad things have happened. Carson Wentz has lost a lot of value. I mean, last year he was the worst quarterback statistically in football. I get it. But at the same time, it's mind-boggling to me that we couldn't get more than a third rounder and a potential first, more looking like second round pick. I mean, that's the best we could get for a guy that was a MVP candidate. I don't know. And the problem with it is the timing as well. I mean, Howie dragging his feet for those, 2 or 3 weeks at the height of Carson Wentz's trade value. It's either like trade him immediately or wait till the middle of the season. Don't wait 2 or 3 weeks until he goes down in value and then trade him at his lowest value. Because the thing is, I bet Howie Roseman got better offers, over the past couple of weeks than the offer that he actually took. I bet he got better offers prior than the offer he ended up taking, because I bet he declined all those other better offers, expecting to get an offer that was even better than those, and instead he got an offer that's probably worse than all of those. So, I mean, just quite the negotiator that Howie Roseman is. And, I mean, the whole situation was handled so poorly, and now we're stuck with Jalen Hurts, who I like. Don't get me wrong. It could be a lot worse, but it's like, now are we riding with Hurts? Is he going to be our guy? Well, now they're saying, no, we're not, we're going to have a quarterback competition. And it's like, so does that mean we're getting another quarterback? We're going to get Justin Fields now, which is who I think we're going to draft. And personally, I love Justin Fields. I'm a Buckeyes fan. I absolutely love the kid. I think he's great, but I just don't think he's a great fit for our team. And to go and get another quarterback when you just traded away one, am I sounding crazy for thinking that's a little counterintuitive? I mean, it just, what they should do. Now, this is what I think they should do. They should draft an offensive lineman in the first round. With that number 6 pick, they should draft the best possible offensive lineman in the draft class at that pick. That's what I think they should do. And if not, then at least get somebody on defense, get a, defensive back, maybe a linebacker, even if there's a great, playmaker available, that would be fine. And even a receiver, as against that as I am, it'd still be better than getting another quarterback, because you're just, then it just, you look back at the last few drafts and you're like, what the hell? What was the point of this? Are we hitting the reset button now? Are we hitting are we rebuilding? Because that's what it looks like. And I think personally, if they're going to wait to trade Wentz, they should have waited until the middle of the season, when teams started losing a little bit of steam and needing a quarterback. When teams start getting desperate for a quarterback, that's when you trade Carson Wentz. You hang on to him. And I get he has an absurd contract. I get he had a horrible year last year. I get those things. I get that his value went down. So that's why if his value goes down like it did, don't just trade him. Don't just panic and trade him for the nearest available offer. Sit back and let teams come to you, in a sense, because everybody needs a quarterback, especially one that's as competent as Carson Wentz has been at times. Despite how awful he's been last season, 2017, even 2019, I thought he had a good year. I don't even blame him for how bad the team was in 2019. We made the playoffs, but in sense of the team could have been a lot better. And, the receivers dropping balls and giving up big plays on the deep ball. You could go all day, but What it's going to take for this team to win, though, at this point, now that Carson Wentz is out, Pennsylvania is done, where do we go from here? I think we ride with Hurts, get an offensive lineman in the draft, get more weapons, fortify the defense. Just try and get young talent across the field. And especially at the offensive line, because we're declining there. I mean, we were on top for those years. I mean, with Jason Kelce and Brandon Brooks and Lane Johnson and Jason Peters in his heyday. And we had a great offensive line and Big V, but a lot of those guys are either old, gone, or ineffective. So, we need to start pivoting in a new direction, or they're too expensive. That's another thing, which Jason Kelce may end up being for us. So I don't know. We'll have to see what happens with all of it. But, just on the Wentz situation, I think it's a disaster. I think it could have been handled so much better. And it just proves again why the fan base is turned on Howie Roseman. And he needs to have a great draft here, or else more and more Eagles fans are going to be coming for his head, sadly. But figuratively, of course. But yeah, I mean, as for Wentz, though, I hope nothing but the best for him. He had some really bad luck in Philly. They rarely gave him a chance. And I know, the injuries and all the other variables. It just didn't end up working out. And, that happens when sometimes, when you make an investment, it doesn't always work out. And this was just an example of that for both parties. I mean, when things were great, they were great. And unfortunately, those great times didn't last too long. And, now we're back in mediocre land. And it's so funny that Super Bowl is just seeming more and more like a fluke as we go. But, yeah, we'll see what happens with all that. But also, one thing I want to talk about is actually big news that dropped today. A quick thoughts and prayers for Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods got in a bad car wreck today. And what I'm seeing is he broke both of his legs. But he is going to be okay. So from what I've seen, now we don't know the full details. It's still a little bit muddy. The news just broke. But I want to say, though, I admire Tiger Woods, man. I really do. And not just because he's an amazing golfer, but just because he went through the media ringer in the late 2000s and was able to come out of it, on top. And yeah, he definitely could have handled that situation much, much, much better than he did. But honestly, for as big of an athlete as he is, to have, overcome that kind of public exposure and scrutiny, and to come out still highly respected and regarded in, sports is admirable. It really is. And he's a tough dude, and you hate to see it happen. So I hope Tiger is okay. We pray and hope the Tiger gets out of this. But from what we're seeing, he sustained some damage for sure, but hopefully he can get out of it okay, because he is from athlete not even personality, story. He has one of the best stories in the history of athletes. I mean, just the up and down roller coaster of his life. It's fascinating. And yeah, he's a real dude. He's one of those superstars that you see and he feels lived in. He feels real. He doesn't feel like a corporate, he doesn't feel like he's been manufactured by a corporation or corporations. He just feels like a human being. And that's probably because of a lot of the, issues he's had in his past. It almost, in a sense, humanized him. It made him feel more real. And I guess this is another example of that. Not one that I would necessarily recommend to others, but nevertheless, Tiger, he's one of the most authentic athletes out there, man. And he has a fascinating story. So, and I'm not a huge golf fan, so I guess that's why I can't speak too much on his athletic career. But, he's great and he's an amazing personality, and we hope nothing but the best for him. If you pray, do that. If you wish, do that. If you think about him and his family and friends, do that. We want you to be okay, Tiger. Hang in there, buddy. Last thing I want to talk about is another really emotional thing that happened in the past couple of days, and it happened kind of out of nowhere. You know, nobody was really expecting this, and it was really sad news. And that is the official breakup of Daft Punk. So yeah, the other day, Monday, we got a big news break in the morning that I saw on the internet on Twitter, and it was broke that Daft Punk was breaking up. The legendary electronic French house duo Daft Punk, they're calling it a quits. They're giving up. They're breaking up. And yeah, it's this one hit me pretty hard. I'm not gonna lie, because I absolutely love Daft Punk. They're one of my favorite electronic entities ever. I mean, just pioneers of the genre through and through. I mean, what those guys were able to do over their 20 plus years in the business is nothing short of incredible. I mean, their ability to blend jazz music with electronic music and pop music was so seamless. And they have just so many classic hits and projects. I mean, from Homework to Discovery to even Alive and Random Access Memories, which is my favorite project of theirs personally. And I'll talk about it. But I mean, these guys, they really did help pioneer the modern electronic sound, and especially from progressive house with a lot of synth production and sample production. I mean, these guys, One More Time has one of the best samples you'll ever hear in electronic music. I mean, and there's a video that I found that breaks it down, and it's pretty brilliant to see how they could, extrapolate those mini samples of a song that are not even connected and then mesh them into a whole new melody. It's brilliant. And these guys did this all the time. And they did it, and nobody was able to do it better. And from the vocal sampling, I mean, Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger is so catchy and fun and bouncy. And I mean, without it, we wouldn't have the legendary Kanye West song that sampled it. And then you have, One More Time, which is one of the most incredibly fun and bouncy progressive house songs you'll ever hear. And I wish I could hear it in concert, because man, it hits. And then everything from Around the World, which is another one of my favorites by them. Super, super, super ahead of its time. I mean, it sounds like a pop house song that you would hear in 2020, 2021. If it would have come out yesterday, I would have believed you. But it came out in 1997, when I was born. So it's truly amazing that these guys were able to have the run they had for as long as they had on their terms. They weren't forced to drop music. They were never, just dropping music for the sake of dropping. They dropped music when they perfected it. They seemed like perfectionists, and you could just tell in the way that they made music that there was a certain level of attention to detail that you usually don't get in electronic music, that these guys just had and brought to the genre that you're never going to see again. And it's a shame. But at the same time, if they're really done and uninspired and want to move on with their lives, then it's better that way, honestly. Don't make music that your heart's not in. Don't make anything that your heart's not in. That's kind of always been my MO and my motto, is like, don't make stuff that you don't care about anymore. And when you lose that interest, when you lose that drive, quit and find something new. That's my opinion, because you're wasting your time, and you're wasting your fans' time as well. Making music or making movies or making shows or comics or books or whatever. You're wasting your audience's time if you're not giving your full attention to it. And not even that, just not even necessarily full attention, but just if you're not passionate about it, if you don't care about it anymore. And that's what, maybe that's what they felt like. I don't know, but because we haven't really gotten an explanation for why they broke up, but they just broke up. They were done. And I mean, that's honestly fine. They did release that video, which I found to be really heartwarming, and heartbreaking, but, it is sad because, like I said, I love Daft Punk. I love their music, and I love the impact that they've had on electronic music. I mean, they're up there in the Mount Rushmore for sure. You got to put them up there. I mean, for the longevity, for the big hits that they contributed to. I mean, huge radio hits, like I mentioned, Around the World and Get Lucky and One More Time and Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger and Technologic and was it Aerodynamic, I think is the other one that I really like. But I mean, these guys, what can you say about them that hasn't already been said? They made some of the funkiest music you'll ever hear. And if I had to recommend a Daft Punk project, I would probably recommend Random Access Memories. I think it's the most accessible. And the thing I love about that album is they use a lot of real instruments. It's not as heavy on the electronic side as some of their prior work. And that's what I kind of liked about it. It felt very much like a, pop rock album in a sense with the, obviously a lot of the, Daft Punk robotic vocals that, are so popular with the group, and a lot of the electronic melodies throughout. But for the most part, it's just a super jazzy, fun, funky album. And that's what I love about it. And it won the Grammy for Best Album, which was huge for electronic music because I don't even know if that had ever been done before. Maybe it had. But it was a big moment for electronic music, as it kind of bursted on the scene in 2012, 2013, and Daft Punk were kind of like holding the genre's hand as they walked through the mainstream. And like I said, they're legends. And if they ever come back together and do a reunion tour, I'll be there for that. Because that's one thing I'm the most upset about this whole situation is that I won't be able to ever see them in concert as of right now, which is sad because I love them. I love Daft Punk. I love their music, and they're going to be very missed in electronic music. That's for sure. So someone else will have to step into that void. And there's a lot of different personalities out there that can do it, but maybe not to the effectiveness as Daft Punk. And I love the mystique behind them, the aura, and like I said, how they made music on their own terms. They made things when they wanted to make them. They would take 5 to 10 years in between projects. Hey, take your time. Just make it good. Make it the best you can. That's all we ask as fans. But yeah, I hope Daft Punk gets back together. It's a shame because they're making a new Tron movie, and they made the score for Tron Legacy, and it is an incredible score. I really recommend you check it out. And that's another thing that sucks is that I wanted to see him score another movie because I love that synth production on that score. So yeah, we really want to see some more from Daft Punk. But we hadn't. Granted, it's crazy because I saw a meme that was like, Daft Punk, I'm inspired because Daft Punk decided after 8 years of not making an album to just call it a quit. 8 years since their last album, and they just say, yeah, we're done. It took them 8 years to figure out, I'm not really into this anymore. I want to do something else in my life, kind of thing. So I don't know. Like I said, they're going to be really missed, and it's a shame. But at the same time, don't be afraid to walk away when you've lost your passion, when you've lost your inspiration, when you no longer, care about your product. Why waste the people's time? Why waste, their lives, as they wait and clamor for a new album? Just be like, look, we're done. That's it. And I mean, it sucks. Trust me, especially as a fan. But you got to understand it in a level of being like, all right, at least they're not wasting our time by making crappy stuff. At least they have enough, integrity to say, hey, anything we make beyond this point is going to be, half the quality of what we were going to release. What we have released. So we're better off just saving you the trouble of even listening to half-assed music and just calling it a quits, and you can enjoy our back catalog. And hey, I'm down with that. And that's the same thing like with Tarantino too. When he eventually calls it quits, it'll be the same thing of being like, what? He'll be like, what? Anything I make after this point will be just my heart won't be in it the same way. It'll be half the product that it was. So for that, I'm out. And hey, I got respect for that. So, as much as it hurts, because it does, but nevertheless, I respect it. But yeah, that's all I got for today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Check me out on all the social media: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Gab, Odyssey, Minds, BitChute, Rumble, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Pandora. Yeah, check me out on all those. But if you don't even want to go through that trouble, now you can just go up into your little search bar, whether you're on iPhone, if you're on the computer, it doesn't matter. You're on your iPad, I'll be there. TJMARTINO.com. Go there for all the episodes of the podcast, and pretty much everything else will be on the website. So go to the TJ Martino podcast website at TJMARTINO.com. Very easy. And, look around, browse around, sniff around, and continue to go back, because I bet every time you go back, something new will be there. I can't promise that, but, I will be doing frequent updates to it. So be on the lookout. So yeah, TJMARTINO.com, TJMARTINO.com, TJMARTINO.com. Go there and follow me on everything else. Thanks for everything. And I'll be back with some more stuff coming soon. But in the meantime, let the beat drop.